Saints 365 is a passion project to glorify God and honor His saints. This project is based upon the book, The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler.
September 26th. St. Cyprian and St. Justina, Martyrs. The detestable superstition of St. Cyprian's idolatrous parents devoted him from his infancy to the devil, and he was brought up in all the impious mysteries of idolatry, astrology, and the black arts. When Cyprian had learned all the extravagances of these schools of error and delusion, he hesitated at no crimes, blasphemed Christ, and committed secret murders. There lived at Antioch a young Christian lady called Justina, of high birth and great beauty. A pagan nobleman fell deeply in love with her, and finding her modesty inaccessible and her resolution invincible, he applied to Cyprian for assistance. Cyprian, no less smitten with the lady, tried every secret with which he was acquainted to conquer her resolution. Justina, perceiving herself vigorously attacked, studied to arm herself by prayer, watchfulness, and mortification against all his artifices and the power of his spells. Cyprian, finding himself worsted by a superior power, began to consider the weakness of the infernal spirits, and resolved to quit their service and become a Christian. Agladius, who had been the first suitor of the Holy Virgin, was likewise converted and baptized. The persecution of Diocletian breaking out, Cyprian and Justina were seized, and presented to the same judge. She was inhumanly scourged, and Cyprian was torn with iron hooks. After this they were both sent in chains to Diocletian, who commanded their heads to be struck off, which sentence was executed. Reflection. If the errors and disorders of St. Cyprian show the degeneracy of human nature, corrupted by sin and enslaved to vice, his conversion displays the power of grace and virtue to repair it. Let us beg of God to send us grace to resist temptation and to do His holy will in all things. Also celebrated on September 26th, St. Isaac Jogues and his companions. The following holy Jesuit missionaries are the first martyrs of North America: Isaac Jogues, John de Brebeuf, Noel Chabanel, Anthony Daniel, Charles Garnier, Gabriel Lallemant, priests, and René Goupil and John Lalande. They were beatified by Pope Pius XI in 1925 and were canonized by the same pontiff 5 years later. St. Isaac Jogues was born at Orleans, France, January 19, 1607. After entering the Society of Jesus, he was appointed professor of literature at Rouen, and later was sent as a missioner to New France, now called Canada. His zeal for converting the natives led him amid continual hardships to penetrate as far as Sault Ste. Marie, as they were extremely superstitious and attributed the blighting of the crops or the advent of sickness to the presence of the missionaries. The latter were in constant danger of death. Once he and some companions were captured near Three Rivers, New York. Saint-Cropil was slain, and the others, after severe tortures, were condemned to death. But while preparations for their slaughter were in progress, they escaped, and Jogues returned to France. Though several of his fingers were mutilated, the Pope gave him permission to pray Mass. In a few months, he returned to Canada, and as a delegate arranged peace with the Indians. On his subsequent arrival among them, however, the crops were bad, and the blame was put upon him. They stripped and slashed and finally tomahawked him, October 18, 1646, in the town of Auriesville, New York, now a popular place of pilgrimage. Shortly after his death, 3,000 Huron Indians were converted, much to the distress of the Iroquois. The latter therefore seized his remaining companions, and after torturing them with arrows, boiling water, and hot irons, put them to death. Reflection. Some are especially called to work for souls, but there is no one who cannot help much in their salvation by holy example, earnest intercession, and the offering of actions on their behalf. St. Cyprian, St. Justina, and St. Isaac Jogues, pray for us.
Saints 365 is narrated by Rob Roller, edited by Josh Bach, and produced by Our Local Parish Productions. Funding for this project is made possible by Catholic businesses. Please go to the business directory at ourlocalparish.com to support these generous businesses. Thank you for listening. God bless.